So, role of intellect to remove the doubts about the real self, one aspect, and once we remove the doubt, that intellect disciplines our daily life and living. How long we have to attend this session? That is another question that comes to our mind. First thing, why that question comes to the mind? 3 hours, those who are attending 3 hours in a week, as compared to the 7 days we give to delusion. Compare. Yeah, maybe, no, 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 I know it, I know it. Yes, you know it because you are in delusion. Just think in that way. So, first of all, yes, thank you for everyone. Thank you for everyone who is contributing to the journey of this self discovery. So, I asked a simple question: how long we have to attend the session? You need not to attend, provided you think in your intellect 3 hours of the wisdom as compared to the 7 days we live in delusion. But if these 3 hours become 7 days, you are done. You are there. Did you understand? Last time we covered that every day we wake up, the real self is settled in the mind. You check every day. The delusion does not touch you. Or after the session, you go to the honey, you made me upset. Delusion has taken over. There's 1 hour is wasted. Done. Finished. And then you ask how long I have to attend. So, how to know that delusion does not touch me? Mind is free from insecurity, unhappiness, and dissatisfaction. There is no conflict and confusion. See, just you have to think. You have to think. Be very clear. At the same time, I am humbled but that you are attending the session. So, what we talk in the session is only about the real self, is only about peace and happiness. And when we don't have a time even for 3 hours every week, check every day you succeed. Every day you wake up and you think and speak and act in day to day life with the real self. You need not to worry about awakening. Forget about it. In every situation, with every relationship, internally you are in peace and happiness, love, and wisdom. Or I can say that peace and happiness has taken over your life, your thought, your speech, your action, your relationship. Then we are there. Then we are there. As you know that we have been understanding what is knowledge, what is delusion, what is emotional freedom, what is the difference between the individual and the supreme consciousness, and how to remove that suffering from our life. These are our topics, and I pick up from the different teachings of the Master. And now you are clear that satsang, we covered, I think, last time, satsang. Satsang, then it leads to dispassion. Dispassion leads to removing the delusion. The delusion, when it is removed and from the mind is steady. You wake up in the morning, the mind is steady. It picks up the real self. You're going to sleep in the night, it picks up. Otherwise, this mind is itself a delusion. And after the session, just check the state of your mind, whether that state of the mind continues or it leaves you. That is why I told you knowledge, humility, from the humility, inner qualification, from the inner qualification, the inner wealth, from the inner wealth, the righteous life. The righteous life makes us happy all the time. All the time. So, intellect. We are going to understand this intellect today. So last time I said, do you remember 2LCRP? Learning and listening, contemplation, reflection, and the practice. First, understanding that while listening and learning, what happens? It is an inquiry with discernment and dispassion. It is not an action. Repeat listening, thinking, and thinking helps us to see the possibility that there is a real self beyond senses and the mind. Otherwise, your mind may say that, oh yeah, he's a beer guy, an old guy, so better to listen him, why to react? It will not work. You have to react and you have to find out, where is there a possibility that there is a real self? For all these weeks and months and years we have been attending the session, do I get a belief inside that, yes, I have seen it? When the mind is withdrawn completely, I enter into that state of calm and the peace and the joy. That peace and the calm is independent of anything outside, independent of any relationship, any condition. Once the mind is settled with that possibility, you are not going to leave the session. Repeat listening helps the mind to hold the knowledge for a longer period. So when it holds the knowledge for a longer period, the result is discernment and dispassion. False I can be removed by intellect with the knowledge. That is the whole understanding given by our masters. Let us understand a little bit about this intellect, because intellect keeps the knowledge. Intellect keeps the knowledge, isn't it? If I'm right, what is intellect in the mind? So you have to contemplate and think. When the matter meets the consciousness, the mind is created. The mind appears like consciousness, but is matter. When I say what I said, when the matter and the consciousness comes in contact, the mind is created. Now this mind sometimes goes towards the matter, sometimes it moves towards the consciousness. When it moves towards the consciousness, it is living within, going within, and awakening within. And when it is moving towards the matter, means the body, breath, mind, intellect, relationship, and everything in the world. It behaves like a matter, unconscious. There the problem comes. First thing to understand. Second thing, in our journey, the one master clearly says the mind is structurally one, but has four functions. One is the thinking mind. You wake up in the morning and we have a lot of thoughts. A single thought about the conflict and confusion destroys your entire day. And we are not aware of it. So first is the mind, thinking mind. Second is the intellect. We are given an intellect. We will understand. We are given an intellect by the existence to observe, to have a choice, and to control. Third function of the mind is the memory. And fourth is the ego, the I thought. I am stressed. So I thought comes from the mind. To have a clear and more deeper understanding, compare the animal mind with the human mind. Animal intellect or animal mind, you can say, is governed and controlled by the nature. So they do not have a thinking power because they need not to think to regulate their basic activities. They do not have an option. So they do not have a deciding power. How can you say that? How can you say that? You have a tiger in front of you. Tiger can attack you either through his jaws and paws. Anywhere in the world, anytime, in any condition. Are you clear? What options we have? I see the stick, I see the rifle, I see the pistol, I see the knife. I have all options available to save myself. Do you see that? Just one example. Oh, you insulted me. So then I thought comes, I find only one option, animal option. I will also react. Just see, understanding. We need to understand only. Do you see? In every situation, we are going deeper. So animals do not have a choice. Do not do so. There comes another change in our human life as compared to the. You see that all the religions, when they talk about sins and virtues, merits and demerits, and because animals do not have a choice, they do not accumulate merit and demerit in their life. How come? Tiger kills the prey, kills the deer. It cannot be known as violence. It cannot be known as violence. That's what we understand by the food chain. But I have a choice. I have a choice to react against you, and I have a choice to continue to be in peace and calmness with you. These two choices creates either merit or demerit. So you see that we are understanding the intellect. Pay attention to this. We are understanding that intellect. Human intellect has that power to make a choice, and that choice gives us the sense of freedom. Likes and dislikes, make a choice. Pain and pleasure, make a choice. Honey says something, make a choice. Dad says something, make a choice. Whatever. His dad is also my student, so that's what I'm saying. In a different session, in a different program. Human intellect thinks to have a choice, to control. Now see the other part. That is, I feel that is most important thing to understand. We have the weakest body, we have the strongest intellect, we have paralyzed the intellect, that's why we are suffering. How can you say that? How can you say that we have the weakest body? Look at the COVID that you cannot see, it kills. Do you see? COVID, I can't see. I can only see through the electron microscope. That has killed millions. That has killed millions. We have paralyzed our intellect. What do you mean by paralyzing the intellect? What do you mean by paralyzing the intellect? Now understand that. So live your life with the intellect means that the likes and dislikes, emotional dependence, pain and the pleasure, profit and the loss, anger and the reaction do not influence your life. Can you say that I have a great intellect and I am angry? Can you say that? Ask yourself. Ask yourself. So we have paralyzed our intellect. Likes and dislikes comes from the mind. Intellect is not at all concerned about it. So now can you recognize that we stop, or I would say the intellect stops functioning when we are carried away by the likes and dislikes and emotional dependence, pain and the pleasure, profit and the loss. It goes to animal mind. Behavior, attitude, impulsive, instinctive, works with the likes and dislikes. And that causes the problem. Do you see the paralysis? Intellect is paralyzed now. No, I'm not going to listen to you. Enough is enough. Animal mind says enough is enough. You are showing me the stick. Now I'm going to attack you. There is no other possibility. Now I have to compete. Look at those scientists. Did they stop thinking when they realized that there is a COVID virus? Or they continued working? Now I have heard that, Britishers have created some pills. Have you read that? They have created pills for it. It is the intellect that is constantly working, still working. We hardly use our intellect to free our life from anxiety, anger, hesitation. So it is controlled, it is suppressed, and it resurfaces again and again. I'm not saying all the masters are teaching it. Now I've attended your sessions, now I know everything. This is delusion. This is delusion. This is delusion. Why it is delusion? That I thought. Do you recognize at the subtler level? And that I thought bounces back with the fear, with anxiety, with a sense of insecurity again. My master said that pick up one text, not one or two, study it again and again and see how much the intellect can reveal the knowledge differently. Because this delusion can take over human life at any time. until that steadiness comes. So what happens when the steady intellect comes? Your mind reflects outer situation with reference to the real self. Likes and dislikes, it's okay. Pain and joy, it's okay. Pain and the pleasure, it's okay. Because you do not allow the mind to get dictated and influenced by the outer situations. That is an awakened state. That is an awakened state. Do you see that? Again, remember, physically we are the weakest. Find out. Look at the elephant. Look at the tiger. Forget about them. Look at the mosquito. Now malaria is eradicated. It is only because of the intellect. More or less, it is eradicated. Mosquito is a small creature. A snake bite can kill us. How we save ourselves? Knowledge, intellect. So if that is possible by the scientist, why it is not possible to transcend all the likes and dislikes, pain and the pleasure, duality and a conflict? Simple way. Simple way. So that is why Master says that we are given in higher faculties with a vertical spine. It is because of the vertical spine. I'm not going there. Tiger has no choice. We have a choice because of the vertical spine. We grow upward. Tiger grows backward. All animals grow. Have you seen that? I'm not going there. It's another topic. It's another topic. Do you see that? All animals grow backward. We grow vertically. Masters uses another way to explain that our intellect is uncultured. We have to culture this intellect. Do nothing. When you have cultured your intellect, 100%, that intellect can perceive the real self here and now, in every situation, in every relationship. And that intellect will not allow our life to be influenced and dictated by the likes and dislikes, pain and the pleasure, duality and they will remain there. Body is subjected to pain and pleasure. But it will not cause unwanted suffering in your life. Have you seen those people? A little pain in the body, they make it so big. Have you heard the word hypochondria? I think Jerry knows. Huh? Hypochondria. Oh, little pain. Oh, I've been suffering for the last 10 years. Unnecessary. It is suffering. Because of the lack of intellect. Because the intellect is uncultured. Intellect, I have told you, means knowledge, clarity, understanding, classifying. No doubt is there. It is settled. So what that means? When that intellect is settled in the right knowledge with discernment and dispassion, it is known as faith. We don't have blind faith in this Eastern wisdom. We have only the faith, power of faith that comes from the intellect. It means the knowledge is 100% settled. 7 days, Maya, except 3 hours, we talk of the wisdom. When these 3 hours, the wisdom permeates all the 7 days, you are there. That is an indication. That is an indication. That is an indication. So when we remove the paralysis of the intellect, the first thing what happens? The faith enters, real self. Second, power of the right thought expressed 24/7. What it means? What it means. You have created a wrong notion about anyone in your family, and that image reacts. Now you have stopped reacting. Third, power of decision making, instant decision making. You return to the peace and happiness. You return to that state of calmness because mind recognizes the real self. And if the mind recognizes the likes and dislikes, the intellect is paralyzed. Think in this way. I'm just giving you my own expression. And then what happens? You start regulating your life towards the journey of the self-discovery. Are you getting it? Yes, yes. I believe so. So constantly, the last point, what happens once we culture our intellect, we remove the paralysis of the intellect, what happens? Think of that. No paralysis of the intellect means the mind cannot dictate you with the emotional dependence, with the likes and dislikes, with the pain and pleasure. They will continue to exist in the world outside, but they will not exist in your mind. Are you getting it? Now, because mind has no say. Mind has no say. Why? The intellect has a right knowledge there. 100% right knowledge means the faith is there. What is that faith? Peace and happiness are my essential nature. We paralyze our intellect in our relationship, in our physical challenges. Ashok sir, in our physical challenges with the people, in profession. It results in anxiety, sorrow, fear, suffering, insecurity. I believe you're getting it. I believe you're getting it. So then the masters have found out what they have found out, that you can divide, you can classify for the sake of understanding that intellect into 4 different types of intellect. And if you use those 4 types of intellect, the life will be in that state of mindfulness 24/7. We'll talk about white coat hypertension in the next session. So let us start our practice. Eyes are closed. Body is steady. So it is all a practice.